Okay, we started. That's our intro.
That was awful.
I couldn't remember how it really fucking went. All right, my caffeine intake today has been extremely low, but
It's actually shockingly surprising. Actually,
I had one other cup of coffee that was kind of like this size too.
La 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 la. What's up, people? Welcome to the podcast today. I was not quite ready to get started, but Christian was ready, so we blazed off and ran like the wind.
Yeah. So one thing, a lot of people my age have had this thing like it's impossible to buy a fucking house. Like they cost too much. Why you gotta ruin the moment? It costs too much money. Like I can't even afford it. Which like whatever. Me, in my opinion, you're just not working as hard. Like if you really want to buy a house, if you really want to do whatever it is in your life, you can fucking do it.
Agreed.
Right? But now we're seeing inflation, we're seeing rates go up, and I'm starting to kind of think like, damn, purchasing power is kind of going down.
It's fucking awful.
It's extremely
awful.
down. And
nobody should buy a house. You know why? Because I'm going to buy them fucking all.
Well, I want to buy them all.
That's what's up.
I want to buy them all. But here's the thing. I feel like as agents, we can't neglect some of the reality that is here. Like, yeah.
Okay, wait. I wanna say it a different way. We have to counter the reality that's here.
Agreed.
And that's the point.
Like, there are some things that I think that are out of some people's control. Yeah, you can always work harder, and maybe that's part of it, right? Right now, we are seeing rates up in probably over 7 right now.
Give or take.
At 7. Right. Give or take, right? And something that I heard earlier, and I'm by all means not someone that is an economist. I'm not writing for the New York Times or Wall Street Journal and their financial section. But I've heard this argument that like inflation is going up, and people's wages, their salaries aren't matching that.
Agreed.
So now the cost of living, the cost of getting a loan, the cost of everything is just way more expensive than it has been before. So that argument previously about like, oh, I can't buy a house, like they're too expensive. Before I was like, bullshit, work harder, do X, Y, and Z. And maybe now I kind of have like, I can kind of reason with them a little bit, saying like, okay, argument done.
Argument done.
What is your side of this?
So here's the thing. Liv wrote our blog post today, and it talks about why you shouldn't max out your budget when buying a home. Okay,
but my point, the one that triggered this, or like, I don't know what the word I wanted to use was. The one that like made the inspiration from that introduction was consider inflation when putting together a monthly budget.
It's funny because the one that I thought was going to be more impactful was the last one.
Well, I didn't even get to the bottom. That one just got me.
I haven't read it yet.
You wouldn't want to be house poor. And that's true, too.
So what my brain went to as soon as I read this, I was like, every buyer says the same thing. They say, I don't want to overspend. I don't want that interest rate. I don't want to be house poor. It's like they're fucking trigger words. This is what they say, right?
But then also you got to look at like, well, then what are you buying?
I agree. So
are you buying a property that's way out of your budget? Yeah, you might want the master bedroom with the walk-in closets, the ensuite.
You don't have to attack me, okay? It's fine.
This is how I feel every podcast, all right? I'm just...
I want the master suite with the walk-in closet with the view. That's what I want.
What do you want to pay a month?
A lot.
You want to pay a lot a month? Okay, then great. You could afford it.
The key, though, is not so much about the affordability. It's about why you shouldn't max it out, right? Because of these other factors. And the thing that's funny
what do you mean by why you shouldn't max it out? I think that directly ties back to your wants and needs. Like, what do you truly need at this point in your life? Or what are you ready for at this point in your life? Like, what can you make happen right now?
So I think that when I started in the industry, people would say things like, oh, you should think about spending a little bit more because your income's always going to go up. You're buying a house for 30 years and your income's going to go up. So like if you're qualified for a $2,000 a month mortgage and instead of spending $1,500, maybe you should think about spending $1,800 because your income's always going to go up. You're going to make more money in the future. And it's like, yes, I agree with that statement. These are kind of like the counter argument to that statement. So if let's take the scenario that we just built, right? Let's say that someone's qualified to buy $3,000 a month of a mortgage payment, which would be like, let's just say $450,000. I don't know. And don't yell at me, Ryan. I hear him yelling at me in the background. He's like, that's not true. Don't give out bad information. I don't know what $350,000 or $450,000 would look like in a monthly payment, but we're saying $3,000 a month, right? And because I'm a savvy person, I'm like, hey, I really don't want to spend more than $2,000 a month. I don't want to max out my budget because I don't want to be house poor, right? And if you read this, you would say, oh, well, what if inflation goes up? Then I want to be even more conservative. And what if a financial risk if my life situation changes? So now I want to spend $1,500 a month because I'm like pulling back as a buyer. And then I have an agent that's like, well, you should always spend more because your income's going to go up, right? It's like these are the pushing and pulling forces. And what I think of is all of these things need to be considered when you make that first decision. Instead of pushing and pulling, make the decision, figure out what you're comfortable spending monthly, period.
Well, yeah, and maybe that just goes back to the agent that these people are working with, and they're not asking the right questions. But like every time I sit down on a buyer consultation, like, hey, what are you comfortable spending? And they're like, I don't know, $2,500. I'm like, okay, what if you went up to $2,600? Like, I see where they're truly comfortable because some people also have, I don't want to say unreal expectation of what they'll be paying, but they just don't know. They just don't know.
And the other factor is like a really good agent is going to say, hey, would you be comfortable going to 26? And they say, yeah, you go 28. They go, yeah, I mean, maybe you go 29. They were like, well, okay, so not 30. And they're like, no, we can't go over $3,000 a month. And you go, okay, well, let me ask you a question. Does that $3,000 a month include a savings for maintenance and expenses? Because that, in my mind, is a good real estate agent.
Yeah.
A good real estate agent is the one that's really balancing you out and pushing and pulling to make sure that you're not overspending in a market like today. And something that I see so many people do, and I'm a little bit mad at my brother at this current moment, right? If you don't know, we're getting married, right? So we're getting married in a month and a half. And my brother was like, I can't afford to stay downtown at the wedding venue. And I went, we got a deal from the hotel operator. Like, I know him and he gave us a great deal. It's going to be $200, including taxes and fees and everything for one night. You can't afford that? And he goes, no, I mean, are you going to pay for me? And I'm like, if that's what needs to be done, like, it's my wedding, I'm not going to let you miss it. But why are we arguing over $200? Are you that house poor, right, that you can't afford $200? What happens when your AC unit breaks? Right. What happens when something else breaks? You're that poor that what if you had to finance a repair? You couldn't afford that in your monthly budget? And I know when we initially had the conversations, we talked about these things. So what it tells me is 3 years after buying his house, he is not adhering to the budget that we set. So it's like we had these conversations about not being house poor and saving for repairs and maintenance and improvements.
I mean, I think the conversation even goes outside of real estate.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even just, are you saving for expenses and repairs? Like, are you going out to eat every day of the fucking week?
Yep.
You know, like maybe you make sacrifices in one area of your life to be able to afford a home. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, like what if you ate ramen once or twice a week? Like, it's not like I'm not advocating for you to live off of like ramen or anything like that.
I am.
But well, yeah, he will.
I am.
But I'm saying like there's again the push, the pull, the give and take, and but like it goes outside of real estate.
All right. So for me, if you know me, I love to travel, right? And I have a geo alert for flights. This is my thing.
Is that a thing? What?
Yeah, you could set alerts for flights. So like if you get a really cheap flight, and I found a really cheap flight, and I thought, ooh, hey, do you want to go to Paris for the weekend? Not this weekend, but like in a couple months, there's a weekend that happens to be cheap, right? And Amanda was like, oh yeah, absolutely, whatever. And I told another set of friends of ours, we're going to go to Paris for the weekend. We're going to leave on Thursday. We're going to come back on Sunday. Great. And they're like, you're crazy. Why? Well, it's expensive. It's not. How much do you think it's going to cost us to get to and from Paris, not including the hotel, not including food and drink while we're there? Literally, flight, Ubers, parking, everything.
Well, now that you say it's not expensive, I think it's under $1,000.
It's under $1,000.
Is it under $7,000?
No.
$8,000.
It's the flight, including baggage, will be around $830.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
I paid a fucking dick ton of money to go to Washington State earlier.
For one person.
Yeah.
This is for two.
$800 for both.
Yes.
Like combined.
But we have built our setup so that we have the ability to do that.
All right, well,
and that's important to us. And when people say, oh, I want to travel, it's like, well, what does traveling look like? Yeah. See, I always say that People want me to find the houses for them. Oh, my real estate agent didn't find me houses. Great. Right? My dad's an attorney. He doesn't find you a wife so he can represent you in divorce. I don't think that we find you a house. We guide you through the process and we help you with your moral compass, if you will.
Right.
So when it talks about things, you had mentioned inflation. So let's target inflation, right? Well, if we're targeting inflation and we're really going about this in a very strategic and logical way, instead of saying inflation is growing at a rate that people can't afford, why aren't we saying, when's the last time you got a raise?
That's fair.
See, my argument, my perspective...
It's still the same argument, but the way you're looking at it...
It's the fucking same. So instead of looking at it from the uber detrimental way, we have to look at it from the uber positive way. And if we balance those two things out, we're like, oh, this is a stupid argument. Or we say, fuck the world, I'm going to go get a raise. And those are two different people.
I feel like there's not enough people like that out there.
There's not.
And then for the expectation that the people that aren't like that have, it's like, how do you even set this expectation if you're not the person that's going to go search for that raise? Well,
and then the other one that I love the people that won't buy a house without a marble countertop. It's like, well, the only thing this house needs is a marble countertop and paint. And they'll be like, oh, but the floors, the landscaping, it doesn't have a pool. And you're like, okay, let's go find the house with the marble countertop, the pool, the floors, and the landscaping. And they're like, we want to offer them $20,000 less than list. I'm like, I don't think that's the way this works.
Yeah.
Right? They have their expectations set to a reality that doesn't match. And it's almost like their budgeting factor is inappropriate. So when you talk about people that are under realistic, so they only have so much money because their inflation is driving them out of the market that they want to be in, right? It's annoying as fuck to me.
Well, and then it's like, I don't want to say those are the same type of people, but like I was texting with someone yesterday and I was kind of like, excuse me, addressing, I don't say everything that they had asked because it's more appropriate for a phone conversation, but like they think they know everything. They don't do real estate full time as their career, and they want to tell me how to run business and like how I should be operating.
I agree.
And I'm like, sorry, that's not how this works. Like you came to me, you're also looking to purchase a house. You want to spend a couple $100,000 on a home, but you don't want to take 5 minutes to understand, to understand and learn.
But it's
okay,
also,
so I'm the crazy one.
It's even more than that, right? It's not just taking the 5 minutes to understand and learn. It's also taking the time to deep breath and reset.
Well,
go ahead.
Same thing. I said that exactly last night. I'm like, this person is texting me. It was in between 8:15 and 9 p.m. on a Sunday about some not outrageous stuff, but like things that you shouldn't be worrying about at 8:15 or 9 p.m. on a Sunday, especially if you're not under contract or you're not even approved.
Not even approved.
Like what?
I'm
sorry.
not
I had literally almost texted them and I was like, hey, we should be relaxing right now. Like you should be feet up on your like couch, whatever, watching a movie, winding down.
Christian's like, I should be walking my goats.
I don't even have goats.
That's like the way I envision you on a Sunday night. And you're
how does that
walking your goats by the river.
Birkenstock. If you wear Birkenstocks now, you just automatically have goats. That's all it is.
I actually, fun fact, have my Birkenstocks on today.
I love them. They're great. But if you're worrying about that stuff at that time of day, clearly there's something going on that you don't understand, you don't know, there's some sort of problem, but you won't take the time to address it or talk about it, which is it's crazy.
I agree. And I think it's those people that do the thing that I hate, right? It's those people that do the thing that drives me the nuts the most. And it takes a reset. The thing that drives me nuts is, my dad, my friend, my coworker, my sister. It's like, yeah, your sister got a grant that you don't qualify for. I'm going to go talk to her lender. You don't qualify. Her lender says otherwise. Okay, cool. So then we run down the road with her lender, and then her lender can't get us into that grant program either because you don't qualify. It doesn't matter that your sister had that. It doesn't matter that your friend brought this. It doesn't matter that your parents have this or you grew up at that. It's like you need a hard reset to realize what you qualify for. It drives me bananas that one of my great friends Michael bought a house for $600,000. I crushed that negotiation. I love that story. But $597,000 for a house on 4 acres in Western Howard County. It's a beautiful property. Almost 10,000 square feet property with a garage for 4 cars and a pool and this and that and the other. And now I'm looking for that. And it's like, oh, good luck finding that for less than 1.3 million. It's like, dude, I hate that I didn't buy it at 600,000. But you know what? Gut check, hard reset. That sucks. This is where the market is.
It's
so
just,
you're either like,
life.
It's priced me out, or you're like, yeah, this is where the market is. And
it's
like reset.
Yeah, it's like, this is life.
Right.
What are you going to do?
Which goes back to Liv's point, is that you have to figure out, like, how are you not going to compromise your other financial goals? And what I said today on our live video was, you need to be saving for retirement. Are you saving for retirement?
Fuck, I wish, man.
Bro, and I don't even blame you, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to call your mom and tell her. Angie, just letting you know, Christian's not saving for retirement. She'd be like, oh my God.
Not yet, but soon.
I can't move out of Frederick.
It's Calvert.
Calvert County, right? Like, we don't have those thoughts early enough in our lifetime, right? We don't have those thoughts about saving for retirement or investing in our future. I just had someone tell me, and I love this client, very much respect them, but they have had financial struggle for their entire lives. And he just told me that they're going to have a 3rd kid. And my instantaneous reaction was like, I haven't thought about what a kid would cost in my lifetime, but like, holy monkey, 3?
Yeah.
And it's just, that's the way my brain works. And that's okay. I'm different than they are, but I'm so blessed and thankful for their friendship and their family, and watching them grow is amazing. But it's like, dude, are you thinking about retirement? Are you thinking about futures? Are you thinking about providing something for your kids? And maybe they are. Maybe I'm just the bad guy here, but we're not spending enough time thinking about the financial goals that we want while we're planning for our house. The best buyer in my mind is the one that says, hey, I qualify for $3,000 a month, but I really only want to buy at $1,800 because I do want to spend $2,000 a month. And either I'm going to spend a little bit more on my monthly payment, or I'm going to spend $1,800. So then that $200 a month is going into improvements and repairs.
Yeah.
And then I have all the rest of that money that I would be pre-approved for to travel, save for retirement, invest in my child's school, or whatever it might be that's important to you. And it's like, we don't do that as home buyers.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that changes. I think it's probably like, you have a kid, you get married, all of a sudden you think about this shit.
You're up next, buddy.
Yeah, right? There's 22-year-olds that are thinking about, saving for retirement. And then there's 22-year-olds that are thinking about having a fancy kitchen because they're easy bake oven. You know what I mean? Like, just different. It's a different school of thought.
You mentioned that story about another person having their 3rd kid, and like, I'm thinking of someone that I've been like trying to work with and prospect and talk to about home ownership ever since I had the listing on Douglas Street. So it's been,
is that Summer?
Yeah. They had a 3rd one, and like,
really?
Yeah. I'm like,
I didn't know they had
great,
kids.
like, amazing. You guys growing your family. I love it. Like, by all means, it's amazing.
It's honestly, but then it's all inspiring, to be honest with you.
It is.
For all the parents out there, like, I wish I had a button for like, yeah,
like
right? There you go. I got you guys. But no, it is amazing, and it's really impressive, and it's something that I think people either look up to or look down on, and it's like, I'm not trying to have an opinion of that perspective
but
here.
Like, it was a very relatable thing, and I'm like, he's been not dealing with financial struggles at all, but like, they want to buy a house. They've been looking for 2 years now. They haven't had much luck. I don't know. I just thought it was a very relatable thing.
I think something that is also super relatable as you talk about family is, what if your life situation changes? You have a 3rd kid, you have a 2nd kid. Hey, what if you have twins? What if you were expecting a 3rd and you ended up having a 3rd and a 4th? I mean, the blessing that gives you, but it definitely changes your financial freedom. It definitely changes your impact. And something that I'm uber proud of for one of my clients is that she went from where she lived growing up into a better situation, now married, now going after a practitioner's degree. Ooh. And she has done so much for her mom, bought her mom a house, bought her mom a car.
No way.
You'd think this girl was like a superstar. She has done so much to provide for her mom. And that's amazing. But I think to myself, like, holy shit, if I had to buy my parents a car right now, oh my God, like, that would be life-changing. So when it comes to, the financial risks to our life changes, it can be personal. It could be losing a job or having a major impact on our income. It can also be familial, taking in an elder relative, taking in a cousin. How about a niece or a nephew that needs that support? Those are financial changes that maybe we're budgeting for and maybe we're not.
Yeah.
Right? How about the people that are budgeting for their big ticket items, not going out on President's Day weekend and buying a whole living room set?
Yeah.
Right? Like, are we budgeting for those items? And the thing that's the most upsetting to me is that oftentimes when buyers come to us, they've already got a big screen TV on, a credit repayment structure. They've got a living room set or a dining room set on a credit repayment structure. They've got 2 cars. And oh, by the way, they have a third one in the driveway that they're constantly working on, It's sinking money and time and energy. And then they only qualify right, to $2,600, but then they're upset that their $2,600 doesn't buy them the house that their best friend bought.
Yeah.
And then it's like this comparative thing. And I'm like, guys, what if we were planning? And instead of paying interest on that couch where it's $2,800, but with the interest it's $4,700, we bought a $3,000 couch in cash, and we had a better quality of life because we were able to buy that $450,000 house. And oh, by the way, show up my best friend who doesn't have that $450,000.
I think it's also you could say that about people that are already homeowners. Yeah. Right? Like spending the money on new furniture, TV, car, X, Y, and Z when maybe they've had a leaky roof or their roof is due in the next year. It's like, I understand we want these fancy things, but also like, let's take care of these
the necessary.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and you also have the people that aren't thinking how to best move themselves about the financial world. They're thinking how to sexily, I don't know, I just made that word up, right? How to move themselves about the world in a sexy fashion. And by that, I mean, I'm going to, I don't know, I'm going to install a pool because it's going to increase my house value. No, it's not actually. You're going to spend $50,000, $70,000, $90,000 on that pool, and your house value probably went up $20,000.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that a buyer wouldn't intrinsically spend $40,000 or $50,000 on a house with a pool more than another one. But you're not going to get back your money with an improvement in value. You'll at best get back your money at equal value. And it's like, that's not a good spend of money.
Yeah.
Or you have the people that are like, I'm going to rent out my house. I have one right now. If you don't know, we have a property management company. And so we have clients that will manage property through us. We have a client right now that doesn't want to use us for property management. And he's going to everyone that we know. Hey, do you know anybody that needs a rental? Hey, do you know anybody that needs a rental? Hey, I need to find a rental for my tenant or a tenant for my property. And it's like, okay, well, at what rate? And it's like, oh, well, I would give them a discount on market rate. Market rate's $2,400. He's going to offer it to them for $1,800. It's like, hey, man, even if you paid us to manage this property, we'd have the property filled and we'd take our management cut for more than what you're offering to do it for a friend or a family member. Like, you're not thinking about this as though it was a financial investment. Yeah. You're thinking about it because it's sexy to you. You want a pool. You want to be a landlord. You want these other things. Yeah. It's like, yes, that's smart. I understand, but it's not savvy. It's not the way to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, why aren't we taking the time to evaluate our position and sit down and really look at it from the perspective of, you're my real estate consultant, right? That's everything we hear is real estate consultant. But getting that to the public is so difficult because they put up these barriers.
Yeah. It's
like interest rates are too high and I can't afford it.
I wish you were there. And what I think I'm gonna start doing when I'm like circle dialing, making some of these calls, I want you to hear like some of the responses that I get, and I want to like put it out there. Like, some people aren't even open to like a simple conversation.
In my head, I just had this like thought. It would be really funny. What if you had like 10 real estate agents around a boardroom table with one of those like boardroom conference calls,
and then you just went around in a circle,
and then you had like 10 clients in the other end of the conference call around a boardroom on a conference call, and you're just battling it out like a tug of war.
Can
like
you see each other through like a glass?
It'd be
like
really funny. But it's like, instead of looking at it like, oh man, we're gonna battle it out and we're gonna get to a solution, everybody's like, no, don't want to. The interest rates are high right now. It's like, interest rates have been higher. Still, statistically, we're at historically low rates, like technically, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, you're never going to get 4% again. You're never going to get 3% again. I'm not saying it'll never happen. Don't ever come back and quote me and be like, ha, Mike, you told me it wouldn't happen. I'll be like on my cane and my walker, like, yeah, you win, right? But at the same time, it's like, if you're waiting for that opportunity, man, I can give you 100 reasons why you're wrong.
Yeah.
And for everybody that I know that I've been working with for 12 months or 24 months, or a couple people have even been longer than that, it's like, guys, you're so much worse. It's not a little bit worse off. It's so much worse off.
And they're going to stop it from letting them do what they wanted to originally set out and do. Like, a lot of the people that have been living in Calvert County have been there for damn near 20, 25, 30 years.
Right.
A lot of them are getting the Florida itch or like wanting to move out, and they're just like, I don't know, rates are too high. I can't do anything. Can't do this, do that, that. And there's like so many options out there for you to take advantage of, or ways that you can go about it to still fulfill that. And now, like, instead of being, I don't know, let's just say the person's 65 and they're going to like wait around for a couple years, see if rates drop. Well, now you don't get to Florida till 68, 69, 70.
And now you can't even use Florida.
Right.
You can't even like live with it. You know what I mean? One of the smartest things that my mom ever said, it was right around the time that I like graduated high school, and she wanted to renovate the kitchen, right? And she had an old kitchen with, you know, peninsula and crappy cabinets and stains and this and that and the other. And she wanted to get a new kitchen, and she wanted to do a white cabinets, and she wanted to do this like tiger stripe countertop. And I was like, Mom, that looks really fucking stupid. People like mahogany and oak, and like that was the trend, right? Yeah. And it was the turn of the century, it's 2005, 2007, something like that. And she's like, nope, this is what I like, right? And what she said was, if I'm going to spend the money to sell the house in 3 or 5 or 7 years, I want to at least enjoy it. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to spend the money, I want to at least enjoy it. Now, my mom enjoyed the fuck out of that kitchen. And it just so happens that trend went in her direction, and white kitchens were popular as shit. And when she sold her house in 2016 or whatever it was, 2018, she made out like a bandit. But at the same time, it's to say that, you know, they did what they wanted to do to enjoy it, not wait a couple of years until it became trendy. And then we're like, oh, I wish we had, right? Yeah. In the same way, they then did the windows and doors, and they got, you know, beautiful doors that slid exponentially better than the crappy ones that the builder had put in 20 years prior. Right. And they loved it. They enjoyed it. It made their life easier on my mom's shoulder, easier on her knees, easier on her life. Mentally, it was better. And it's like, by doing something that you want, structuring it out in a way that makes you successful, you can accomplish more than by waiting, right? And now we have buyers, and this is true story. You can just do the calculation yourself. Somebody that would have qualified for a $350,000 house 2 years ago now qualifies for a $275,000, maybe $300,000 house with their recent leverage of a raise or something like that. And oh, by the way, have you looked at $300,000 houses from 2 years ago and looked at $300,000 houses from today? It's a totally different type of property. The property that they were looking at 2 and 3 years ago is probably worth $330,000, $350,000, $370,000. And now they're looking at the $220,000 house that's appreciated in value that they would have previously never accepted. Yeah. It's like, by doing something that you want, regardless of what the numbers look like, you're always in a better position as it pertains to an appreciating asset. Yeah. Unless you buy a Dodge Viper, in which case you're going to lose your money, and that's going to be my life. It's fine. But in the meantime, if you're holding back, you're just limiting your growth. I mean, the number one thing for anybody that's paying attention, Jeff Bisker and the other 4 people that listen to our podcast, what you really want to do is you want to tell every young person to buy the biggest piece of shit that Mike, they can get their hands on.
Every time we talk about it, this is just Mike's like...
I
you should have
care.
that as your email signature now.
Bro, I might actually put it in as like a line. You know, when people put in like the
fine
red, like the red letters at the bottom under, like, legally, I cannot give advice, right? Like,
but you should buy the biggest piece of shit ever.
Buy the biggest piece of shit ever. Honestly, if you bought a $150,000 townhome in Parkville 10 years ago, right? Or, if you bought when you were 18, 19, 20, 21, just a shitty piece of property, and you just lived there and you didn't do anything to it, and then you went to sell it and you invested $20,000 or $30,000 to painting it, flooring it, cleaning it, maybe doing a kitchen or whatever you needed to do, that $150,000 condo 10 years later is probably worth close to $300,000.
Yeah.
You're getting a great return on your money. By the way, you paid down your principal. It's like the turnaround can be monumental. You could be in a competition for that $350,000 house that you've always wanted, or $450,000 house. You could be the buyer that has 20% down just because you live there. Otherwise, the rest of us rent property for our whole 20s.
Yeah.
And then we're like, we can't buy in our 30s because interest rates are high.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys. Like, get over ourselves and start to do something for our future. And I feel like that's the theory of today's blog content. You're welcome, and I'm out.
Honestly, I just want to make a quick comment. Blake there, if you're watching, you're listening, take Mike's advice. It's something I've been preaching. He has it's my client that I've been working with from Veterans United. He has like a great way of entry into the real estate market. And I know he's looking at a couple of different options that he has, but like, dude, the opportunity's there. You're going to be in a much better position. Like in the future, he wants to have like a much bigger house, maybe even out in Colorado. And this could set him up to have that property and be able to afford it at a much better rate than if he weren't to buy today, right? Like setting yourself up for the future.
I have my newest client prospect.
What, did you just claim a lead?
I did.
Oh my God.
She's mine now. She's mine. I'm going to buy whatever the biggest piece of shit that she can. Angie Olson, look out. Your daughter is now my client, not Christian's. But I truly and genuinely believe it, that if you guys are in fear of the financial impact that it has, let's set up a consultation to look at what the financial burden needs to be, how to protect yourself in the future, make sure that you have money for your financial goals, your retirement, your travel, your savings, your otherwise. You have money for things like couches and chairs and TVs, and also, by the way, an HVAC unit from time to time, right? Your roofing repairs and things that need to happen.
What about the Dodge Viper, man? I want to get it.
I mean, if that's a part of your financial goals, it needs to be there.
Yeah,
but don't sell yourself short, and don't get into a position where, oh, those houses are just outside of my reach, because they're not actually outside of their reach. They're either in your reach or not in your reach, and we shouldn't be talking about them if they're not. It's like, let's have the conversation. Let's build the plan so that, I'm going to use your sister as an example. Christian's sister buys a house, and in 10 years, she buys a mansion. And in a couple of years after that, she's, living her life retired because she's got so much equity built up from real estate growth between 20 and 40. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bang.
Well, hey, my name's Christian Olson with eXp Realty and Frank Oliver Collective. You can find me on Instagram at Christian the Deadhead. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, you can always find me at michael.frank___ or on our website at frankoliverco.com. Go on there, find additional resources, blog posts. You can read a little bit more about today's blog and find some others, and we'll talk to you guys real soon. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching. For more information on the housing market, Real Estate 101, how you can leverage your position in today's market, and so much more, click on the link below. If you like this video or have a burning real estate question you'd like us to answer, leave us a comment and let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you again real soon.